You think? Which store? Because we live right here, they usually keep Palm Harbor in good. We don't keep anything dead. Smart. We'll put it on that. That's for some money. They built the first. Huh?
I'm sorry? Well, but that's the one we have to go by. And it's always the last minute.
We've had that same argument.
It's always the last minute that takes the longest, isn't it?
I think we said that last meeting. Paul's not coming?
Who? Oh, Bill?
Bill.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
Actually 3 minutes slow. We'll have to fix that.
It's pretty. More this month.
Okay, it's 6:30. I'm going to call this meeting of the Heritage Preservation Board to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mrzinski,
Here.
Ms. Hallett, Ms. Ryan.
Here.
Ms. Kaplan.
Here.
Mr. Sprecher is not attending.
Thank you. Are there any public comments that do not relate to anything that's on the agenda? Anybody have any comments, questions? Okay, we'll move on to number 4. Minutes of the May 5th, 2025 meeting. Did you guys get a chance to look at them?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody would like to?
No comment. We just need a motion to
You
approve.
need a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to
Can you
approve.
second it? Okay. Any discussion? If not,
Nope.
we'll take a vote.
Ms. Kaplan,
Yes.
Ms. Ryan,
Yes.
Ms. Hallett, Mr. Mrzinski.
Yes. Okay, number 5, the quasi-judicial announcement and swearing in of speakers, please. Thank you.
This is a quasi-judicial proceeding where the Heritage Preservation Board acts in a quasi-judicial rather than a legislative capacity. At a quasi-judicial hearing, it is not the board's function to make law, but rather to apply law that has already been established. In a quasi-judicial hearing, the board is required by law to make findings of fact based upon the evidence presented at the hearing and apply those findings of fact to previously established criteria contained in the Code of Ordinances in order to make a legal decision regarding the application before it. The board may only consider evidence at this hearing that the law considers competent, substantial, and relevant to the issues. If the competent, substantial, and relevant evidence at the hearing demonstrates that the applicant has met the criteria established in the Code of Ordinances, then the board is required by law to find in favor of the applicant. By the same token, if the competent, substantial, and relevant evidence at the hearing demonstrates that the applicant has failed to meet the criteria established in the Code of Ordinances, then the board is required by law to find against the applicant. If anyone's going to speak, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm your testimony before the Heritage Preservation Board shall be the truth, so help you? Thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to number 6, applications. A, application 25.33, certificate of appropriateness to replace a metal shingle roof with an asphalt shingle roof on the contributing structure at 119 South Spring Boulevard. Carolyn?
Good evening, Caroline Lanford, a principal planner with the Planning and Zoning Department. So this is application 2533. This slide is showing you the location and land use context of the subject property. This slide is demonstrating the subject property's location within the National Register and local historic districts. This slide is giving some basic information about the subject property. It is a frame vernacular. It is a contributing structure. And they are requesting to replace the existing metal shingle roof with an asphalt shingle roof. This slide is from the Florida Master Site File for the subject property. This is showing the facade of the house a few weeks ago. This is just giving some context. You're looking north in this view. This is looking south. As you can see, the subject property is located directly south from the Knapp House. Some additional views of context for the area, and it is located on the Spring Bayou Vista. I will briefly go through our standards of review. The first one that's really relevant to the property is the relationship of the structure within the historic and preservation district and its relationship to the open space and the street and scenic views, vista and streetscapes. So the application does not propose any alterations to the historic roof line. However, a change of materials would alter the appearance of the streetscape. There are 2 adjacent residences to the north that have architectural shingle roofs. The Knapp House, which is an 1886 Queen Anne revival, and a 1909 Craftsman at 103 South Spring. The adjacent 1915 frame vernacular structure to the south of the subject property at 127 South Spring has a standing seam metal roof. So the HPB should determine if this change in material would have an adverse impact on the streetscape. Number 4, this one's really the most relevant to this proposal. Again, they do not propose any changes to the historic shape of the roof. However, the texture and type would be altered. Shingle roofs are not inconsistent with frame vernacular types within our district. We have plenty of frame vernacular structures that have shingle roofs. However, the original roof for this structure is this metal shingle roof, which has lasted over time and is a distinctive feature of the original architecture of the subject property. So it is my analysis that a change of texture would be inconsistent with the original architecture of the property. However, again, a shingle roof is not inconsistent with frame vernacular architecture within our district. The next relevant criteria would be number 7, architectural features. And with this, we're looking at our design review guideline manual, which is saying guideline 63 says that we should retain and repair historic roof materials where feasible. At this point, the applicant has not provided any information as to why it is infeasible to retain the historic roof. They have an opportunity to do so after this presentation. And then if all roofing material is to be removed, then the guidelines state that the new roofing material shall match the existing or be characteristic of the architectural style in terms of material size and pattern. Really the HPB needs to satisfy themselves that this new roof would be consistent with the architectural style and that the material size and pattern would be consistent. The current roof is composed of uniform sized shingles, and the proposed replacement would be different sizes than the current dimensions of the existing metal shingle roof. In terms of thickness, the replacement shingles would be of similar thickness as the current shingles. The real difference comes in with finish and texture. So the current metal shingles have a metallic finish and a smooth texture, and the proposed replacement with asphalt shingles would change the finish and the texture to a granular texture rather than smooth. The applicant has not provided any information about the color on the project sheets, from the product sheets. The HPB cannot specify a required color. However, I would state that the use of a matte finish in light gray would minimize the aesthetic alteration to the streetscape and the subject property. And it's your job to determine if this change in material is a significant deviation from the original architectural style. The last couple of really relevant criteria are adherence with the Secretary guidelines. This proposal does not strictly meet the intent of the Secretary's standards as a distinctive feature, characteristic of the original architecture of the structure would be inappropriate replaced, and it would compromise the integrity of the historic property. With respect to conformance with other city code requirements, the project is expected to conform with the city code. However, it does not strictly comply with the comprehensive plan, nor Article 7 of the Land Development Code because of that change of materials and texture and the way it looks, and rather than preserving the original architecture of the structure. And this is just showing you the guideline 67, stating that, you know, the best choice is always to replace, well, it's always to repair, and then after that would be to replace with the same material as what was historically there. And generally, it's not appropriate to replace with different materials. However, as I stated previously, a shingle roof, an asphalt shingle roof, is not inconsistent with a frame vernacular structure in our districts. So based on a strict interpretation of our guidelines and criteria, I'm recommending denial of application 2535. Should the HPB determine that they want to approve this project, I would suggest that we put the conditions that the historic roof line must be maintained, the historic chimneys will not be altered, and then that the certificate of appropriateness would expire in 3 years if no building permit has been issued. The project was publicly noticed and no responses to that notice were received. And with that, I will enter my staff report and presentation into the record and offer to answer any questions you may have.
So no, I don't, maybe I'm missing them. Was there a spec on the shingles? I see at the timberline. Like, is it a 3-tab? Is it dimensional? They don't.
So that was not provided in the application. What you have in your backup is what I got.
Okay, thank you.
So you can maybe ask those questions of the applicant.
Thank you.
Okay. Carolyn, do you know if those metal shingles that are on that roof now, if there was just a repair that was needed, do you know if those are even available anywhere?
I know there's tons of them in architectural salvage stores for sure.
Yeah.
And largely with those metal shingles, it's really about the sealant. It's not the actual metal that's corroded too much. Occasionally that will happen given our environment. Mm-hmm. But it's not something you can go buy at Lowe's for sure. Mm-hmm. But they do exist and could be obtained.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Carolyn? Mm-mm. No? Okay, let's move on to the applicant.
Hi, good afternoon, or evening at this point. I am Matt Turpin. I'm the owner of 119 South Spring Boulevard. So if you'll indulge me, just want to give you a little bit of background because I think it does, play into some of the mitigating factors we find ourselves in these days. So we purchased the property at 119 South Spring Boulevard. It's our sole home. We purchased it back in 2014. At that point, the roof was 75 years old, minimally. We had to have 5 roofing inspections. The 5th inspector was able to find an area that needed repair and certify the roof, I think, for 10 years. We needed that in order to get just a loan or to get insurance. Now the roof, we go forward a couple of years to 2018, the roof's about 80 years old. We added an addition to the home, which was approved, and the addition has an asphalt roof. It's on the back, it's not in the public facing part, but we were able to do that. That was considered consistent at the time. We also, the home's been, it's a 4-square home. It has this pyramidal shape. It has been, again, not in the public facing side, but on the back side, it's been enclosed like an upstairs porch, downstairs porch. Both of them have been enclosed, so the shape of the roof in the back is much different than the shape in the front. So looking at it in the style that it's in as a 4-square, the historical features of these homes don't really include the materials. They do include that it has a cube shape, which for the most part it does. They also include that it has a low-pitched tipped roof, and it looks from the front, as you can see in those pictures, very pyramidal, particularly from the front side where, again, it hasn't been altered as it was in the past. So from the street view, it's very pyramidal and flat. These homes also typically have a dormer. Unfortunately, ours doesn't. A lot of them have dormers, adds a lot of character. Our home doesn't have that. They also tend to have a wide porch that's centered in the middle. Ours is off to the side, as you can see there. But again, these features, the cube shape, the hipped roof, we don't have a dormer to consider, but also the porch, none of these things will be affected by this. So, and those are the features that this style of home actually have in common with all of these type homes built around the country. It's not materials. The other thing, these homes were designed to be very economical. It's kind of ironic, it's next to this Victorian-like place, but it's like the economical homeowner right next to that. And one of the things that makes this challenging is that even in our current environment, whether I put a metal roof of whatever grade or type, it doesn't change any of the considered mitigating things for insurance costs. So for us to get insured, whether it's shingles with other wind mitigation or metal, they treat them both the same. And when the roof gets 10 years old, it's 10 years old, whether it's shingle or metal. And then the other thing, we certainly can have our roofer here just explain the materials and how, trying to replace the exact shingle look, the cost and what type of materials would really take, because it is next to a saltwater environment, and some of the materials now may not match those materials, plus the ability to put shingles on. We said we can salvage these, but having somebody with the skill and the ability to actually put them on without a mess is a completely different story. But I'll let you go ahead. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, my name's Chip Rome with Aries Roofing. We've been a contractor here for a long time. I'm sure you guys have heard our name and dealt with us. Looking at the photo from Mrs. Lanford there, to be honest, even as a roofing professional, it looks a lot like a dimensional shingle on that roof right now. Like if I did not see this property and walk that roof, I would think it was probably a dimensional shingle. And that is what we have proposed. So not a 3-tab shingle like you asked earlier. So there is a dimensional aspect. This is the GAF Timberline HTZ. I know it doesn't look like much here, but this is what 90% of homeowners are putting on nowadays. Also, what we've been dealing with a lot nowadays is insurance. So we have strict criteria what homeowners have to do and what their rates have gone to, and if they can even get insurance. And when we were talking about this thing, it's rough having a home that's not insured as the intensity of storms are increasing and people can no longer get homeowners insurance. It's worrisome. And the costs of this insurance premiums are going up and up. And at one point, I think they told me it was $14,000 to insure this home. And now they've no longer been able to secure homeowners insurance due to primarily, I would suggest, the roof. As these insurers are getting wiser and wiser, insuring a roof that's the age of this one, if one shingle goes missing, can they find it in a salvage yard? Maybe, but what's the integrity of that metal that's been taken off of something that's 50, 60 years old and is going to protect their home and their head and in the middle of a storm if they have to stay? So a lot goes into saying, like, did we give these people the best chance using salvage materials to protect their investment, their home? And the insurance companies are saying, we don't want to insure it anymore. And it's worrisome. So with the new wind mitigation report and a new dimensional shingle that has an unlimited wind speed warranty, et cetera, their insurance premiums could drop significantly. I mean, they could also get homeowners insurance, and they may be paying around the $5,000 annual premium, which is still, I would say, averagely high, but would be more than a 60% discount for these homeowners. So since it's their primary residence, it seems kind of crazy to not look at that. Also, some of the things we've been looking at as roofing contractors is there's no guarantee with even a metal roof that they would continue to get insurance coverage longer than 10 years. It may be 15 years, but some carriers are still looking at a metal roof as the same as a shingle roof, and they're requiring replacement every 15 years. So now, as we fast forward a little bit, the cost of a metal roof is not the same as it was 20 years ago, and I'm sure it will be different 20 years from now. But what we've seen is increased cost. COVID was a crazy time. We saw a lot of crazy costs, and now we have tariffs. Aluminum being probably tariffed the most, and that metal being the most expensive. But the reason we talk about aluminum is due to the saltwater proximity. No metal manufacturer is giving a material warranty on their product within 1,400 feet of the salt water. So if this homeowner is going to put on a metal roof, they have to spend the money to go aluminum, or they run the risk of getting no material warranty. So not only are they spending double the money to put on a metal roof, if they don't spend triple the money, or maybe sometimes quadruple the money, then they run the risk of getting no material warranty. Which is worrisome, because people are like, what do you mean I don't get a material warranty? And it's like, not from the manufacturer, you don't. We will stand behind it, but the manufacturer may not. So it makes it more complex and not so straightforward to say, well, do you put a metal roof on, do you put a shingle roof? There's no material warranties against this. We have unlimited wind speed warranties. The dimensional shingles have manufacturer-backed warranties that are very big. The metal industry just doesn't have that. I love metal roofing, and there's definitely a place for it, but you got to have the right metal and the right application, and feasibility comes into it. And now today, ever since 2020, you imagine with COVID, we saw huge spike increases in labor materials and material increases. And at some point, feasibility has to be taken into consideration for these homeowners. I mean, I run into it every day. People would love to put the metal roof on, but at what cost? So that's something that's difficult for the Historic Society to understand and review. I get that, but it puts a lot of homeowners in a difficult spot. Do they splurge and go metal and maybe have to replace it in 10 years, 12 years, because their insurance company's mandating them to? Does it rust out, or do they go crazy and put the aluminum on, and then maybe they have to replace it in 15 years because maybe the insurance companies don't want to insure it? So there's a lot of factors that go into this. It seems like it's just a roof, and coming from the roofing industry, a roof is not always so straightforward and easy to understand. But that's some of the factors that we're looking into it. I think from the street aesthetic, I don't think you're going to see a big difference. The color's going to match pretty close. The texture looks very similar to a metal shingle. It's going to get insurance approval. These people will get a new wind mitigation report. They will be up to code on their decking requirement. They will have a secondary water barrier, and they'll have a new roof that will be easier to get insured, maybe sell the house, and without breaking the bank, nothing would be changed with the chimneys, the gable, the hip roof on the front. The street aesthetic would be very similar, in my opinion. And then the other thing is if you look, I would say, in a 360 view, I would say majority of the roofs are shingled around there that are historic homes. So all those things I would think have to be in consideration. Is there anything I missed on that?
And we did, in the past, we did do some things to try to preserve this roof too. We painted it. The color it is now is the color we painted it. We also did some mitigation in the back where we had the addition because we had leaking after the addition. So we actually spent about $10,000 worth of coating and everything too to try to give this roof life. But I think we're at the end. It's 80 years old and that's where we are. Otherwise, we love the place and we wouldn't change anything, but this is where we're at.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions?
Can we see the shingle color? It was hard to see from,
What can be painted?
So this is the Birchwood shingle. Stop making the white because it showed dirt, traffic, anything like that. So Birchwood's pretty popular. Doesn't always look that great at the close, but from a distance, have a textured piece. That's why they call it dimensional architectural shingle. So it will have a texture to it. That roof is not currently. So
If you're gonna speak, you have to be in, you were close enough, but you have to.
this is
But one of the things too is we have a lot of oak pollen that gets on the tree, from the trees that gets on there. If you have a really light color, it's gonna look terrible. So you really don't want it a really light color because, unless you're gonna go up there and hose off the roof and it's quite high and pitched, it gets collections of oak pollen and things on it. And that also rusts it. So it's not just the seawater too. We've just experienced that.
do have an algae warranty versus.
thank you.
Okay, and again, you said there would be no change to the roof line, no change to any chimneys or nothing? No
Correct. The
changes.
only thing that we would maybe have to change would be flashing, which would meet at head walls and sidewalls and around chimneys. Nothing that would be out of context with like traditional old style flashings, whether they be step flashings or head wall flashings. I think we were even talking about replacing the siding if we had to replace any flashing on that, which more than likely we will. But it was doing the siding back the same way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant? Any comments from the public about this project?
Good evening. Nils Hasse, 124 Shattuck Street. I live in the historic district as well. I was a licensed general contractor for 30 years here in Florida, so I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. So one of the things that was interesting is the city recommends to put isometric coating on the roof, which only lasts maybe 2 or 3 years. So what good is that? You're going to spend this money to do something like that. It doesn't change anything. The city has no idea what it takes to do roofing. They're incompetent in that part, but they go by the rules of whatever's going on there. We all live in Tarpon. A lot of us have historic homes. We're all there. What they're trying to do is just put a new roof on a house. And if you look at the house, it's been 85 years on that roof. And the city mentioned that you could get some roofing material from a recycler, which is already 85 years old. So you're putting an 85-year-old shingles on an 85-year-old roof. I mean, come on. What these people are just trying to do is just put a roof on and get insurance, just like all of us. So I think the decision is pretty clear. Any questions?
I don't think anybody is, I feel like you're being a little bit belligerent, like you're against what we think. We all live in the district, we all get the roof piece, and I definitely get the insurance piece. I don't think that the staff is they're trying to sustain a design guideline. That's all they're doing. That's their job.
Well, I live in that, and I've dealt with this.
We're going to weigh it, and we're going to talk about it, and we're not against you.
Well, first off, the historic district is all going to change now that we've all been flooded. So now we're going to raise homes, we're going to change this, that we're going to tear down old homes that have been over 50%. Now a new home's going up. So our historic district and the way we think about things are all going to change.
Which is why she tries to keep us from, look, I'm all about making things more modern and work for the homeowner. And I think Carolyn will tell you that I'm probably the most into modern materials. I like it. I want it to last. I don't want it to
Well, some
run
are
out.
good and some are bad.
But, so I think if you're okay.
But what they're trying to do with the house, I
Nobody-
think with the style of shingle and the color of the shingle, you're not going to even really notice anything when you drive by there. And you can't even find a shingle that's going to look like that metal roof right now. That's impossible. So,
I also-
all right.
I've got more than 25 years of home improvement background. I get it. That's not an easy thing to find. It's a very costly thing to find. And we'll definitely talk about it.
Okay, thank you.
We hear you. Thank you.
Okay, any other public comments relating to this project? Okay, thank you. All right, if not, then I'm going to close the public comments and bring it to the board for a discussion.
I don't know that I have really the other two houses have had dimensional shingles on them already. I get that, yeah, the texture is going to be different, but unfortunately that's a hard thing to find. And it is tough with the insurance company. They won't give you insurance.
They need a new roof, and what are we gonna do?
Okay. You want me to make,
They need insurance.
you want me to make a motion? Okay, so, application 25.35, I recommend that we approve it with the shingle that they showed us today, which is a GAF, I think, dimensional shingle. We also will not have any changes to roof line or chimneys,
Right.
and the certificate of approval.
Do you need to specify that color?
Yeah, what is that color? Birchwood. Birchwood color.
I'll second.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on that motion? If not, we'll vote.
Ms. Kaplan?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Hallett?
Yes.
Mr. Rosinski?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. All right, B, application 25.35, certificate of appropriateness to enclose a non-historic patio at the contributing structure at 21 North Safford Avenue. Carolyn.
Yes, this slide is showing you the location and land use context. This is the Tarpon Tavern, which is in our special area plan. The historic structure is a circa 1925 masonry vernacular structure. It's shown on the 1926 Sanborn map as the office of the American Railway Express Company. The structure has undergone alterations over time, but it does remain to keep its contributing, it has enough integrity to keep its contributing status in both the National Register and the local historic district, which shows its location at the edge of our national district and within the local district on this slide. And this is just showing you the 1926 Sanborn where the building is extant. This slide's just giving you some basic information about the subject property. It is in our special area plan T4A residential and retail office. It's currently used as a restaurant. And again, it's a contributing masonry vernacular structure. So the certificate of appropriateness being sought is to enclose the non-historic covered patio addition. And the addition of this patio was approved by the HPB. This slide's showing you the picture from the Florida Master Site file. And it's changed a little bit, but you can see how it still maintains what it would look like when it was first surveyed. This slide's just showing you the facade a couple of weeks back. A view of the patio proposed for enclosure. It's giving you a little bit of context. And some close-ups of the non-historic patio addition. This is showing you some things about the historic structure. Just want to note these wood surrounds under the windows and the historic doors. So this is the proposed floor plan for the project. So it would be enclosing that porch to make the restaurant space larger. This is showing the east elevation facing Safford. And this is the proposed elevation, which would be facing Orange Street. These are the windows that they propose to use to enclose the porch, and then a single one of these French doors would be used on the Orange Street side. So they'd be closing, there's currently an exit out onto Safford from the porch that would be closed and be windows. So our relevant standards of review are the new construction consistency. So the height and width of the proposed, it wouldn't alter the height of the width of the non-historic porch or the historic property. Number two, windows, doors, and entries. The proposed enclosure, again, is a non-historic addition. It was done fairly well. It's subordinate to the historic structure. It utilizes the same stucco cladding that the historic structure has, with a simple design that's complementary to the historic structure. And the proposed enclosure would kind of follow that, utilizing the wood surrounds that are on similar to what's on the historic structure. The windows would be similar dimensions, not the exact same, but complementary. And it would really, the windows and doors, although, modern materials, they would be complementary to those on the historic structure without pretending to be historic themselves. But the HPB should determine if the enclosure of this patio is generally consistent with the character of the contributing structure. The third criteria we want to look at is the neighborhood and district context. So it is located on Safford Avenue streetscape, which is, one of our, quintessential downtown thoroughfares. And it would alter the aesthetics of the streetscape, largely through its relationship with the contributing property to the streetscape. So as it is now open, it kind of provides like a transitional area to, the kind of semi-public space of a restaurant, to moving out to something that's more open, to moving out to the full public realm. And that would be altered a little bit by the enclosure of the patio. And the HPB should determine if that alteration is considered adverse. The fifth criteria, well, it's the fourth criteria we're going to look at, but criteria number 5. So the massing of the original structure was altered by the addition, and it would be further altered a little bit by the enclosure. But the proposed enclosure is not significantly increasing the existing alteration, and the resulting size and mass of the building after the proposed alteration would be consistent with the character of other contributing buildings in the district. So with respect to number 7, architectural features, since it's a non-historic piece of, addition to the building, it would not alter the historic structure and the materials proposed to use to enclose it. would have a similar visual quality of the historic features of the contributing structure. So, well, it's fine. So in terms of adherence to the Secretary's guidelines, the board did a great job when they approved this, this addition because it is set back from the historic structure. It's simple. It matches the cladding of the historic structure. So we don't have to be quite as strict because it's non-historic, but we just want to make sure that it's complementary to the historic structure and not really changing anything. And the project is expected to conform with other city code requirements, and in terms of the comprehensive plan and Article 7 of the Land Development Code, it would conform generally with those requirements. And these are just the design review guidelines for porch additions and modifications. So since it's not a historic porch, we don't need to be quite as stringent. But again, we just want to look for that kind of consistency within the district and complementary to the historic structure. So for an addition, modification, yeah. So with that, I'm recommending approval of application 2535 with our standard condition that the certificate of appropriateness would expire in 3 years if a building permit has not been issued. The project was publicly noticed. There were some inquiries about it, but no formal responses to the notice were received. And with that, I'll enter my staff report and presentation into the record and be able to answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Carolyn. Any questions for Carolyn? Pretty straightforward. Okay. All right, how about the applicant presentation?
No?
You don't want to make a presentation?
Chicken.
Well, come on up anyway, in case there's some questions.
I do have a question for you, so.
Yeah, introduce yourselves.
I'm Dan Jenkin. I own Cobblestone Management Group, which owns the building, and Tarpon Tavern I also own.
And Andrew Pavlis, the architect.
You had some questions?
What are the windows? Are those aluminum or are they vinyl?
They're going to be vinyl coated.
Impact, I take it.
Yes.
Yep.
So is the design, are you planning on having this open like in winter to where you still get fresh air in there, or is it going to be totally closed?
Yes, Michelle, the purpose of it, because we're starting to get warmer here in Florida, and also we face north, so we get that cold north wind. Our business really hurts in the winter a little bit, and then to an extreme in the summer. So instead of keeping those windows closed, we're going with a single hung window. So as often as we can keep that open, we're going to keep windows up for that purpose, exactly.
I'm all for keeping it closed, just so you know, because it is hot. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you going to be able to keep that existing roof, or is that going to have to all be rebuilt?
Yes, the flat roof is going to be kept. There's no changes to that. As Caroline outlined, we're just going to be mimicking as closely as we can that wood trim in between the windows. We're keeping the stucco that's existing right now and similar to what the original building had.
There's stucco going around where the new section is, that stucco also?
Around the windows will be wood trim. Yeah, just similar to
The area around that's not windows or,
Stucco
Stucco,
above
okay.
it, and then
yeah, I couldn't
wood
tell
trim
by the
below it.
elevation there.
So below the current opening on the patio is currently stucco, and that
Yeah, because it had two different types of pattern on
Yes.
the elevation, so I just thought it was different.
so you see the white capping, that's a concrete slab. We're going to keep those. And then below that, the red is all currently stucco. We're not going to alter that at all. But where it is open there, we're going to have 14 windows, I believe, or 13 windows, and then a single door. And those will all be trimmed out to match how they are trimmed out on the front of the historic part of the building, which is all wood trim.
Sounds nice.
Okay, any other questions? Any comments from the public regarding this project? Okay, I'm going to close the public comments then and bring it back to us to talk about.
No, no, it's good. No, it's a nice project. Okay, I'll do it. For application 2535, wait a minute now, wait a minute, close. Non-historic, okay.
Can we go with the staff recommendations?
Right.
And
You go ahead.
Okay,
And-
all right, so application 25.35, we recommend approval with staff recommendations of certificate approval expire in 3 years.
Okay, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion here?
No?
If not, I'll call for a vote.
Ms. Kaplan? Yes. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Hallett?
Yes.
Mr. Mrozinski?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you for coming.
I might actually eat there now, Dan.
Right.
I never get a table inside. Open the window for you.
Okay, application 25.36, certificate of appropriateness to construct a new patio at the contributing property at Craig Park. Carolyn.
Yes, so this is application 2536. This is showing the location and land use context of the subject property. It is the recreation center that is located within Craig Park. And this shows the location of the subject property within our local historic district. Just gives some basic information about the subject property. It is currently used as recreation open space and will continue to do so. The architectural style of the subject building is a circa 1936 masonry vernacular building. This building was constructed as part of the Works Progress Administration project that improved Craig Park. And the building was built to be a recreation center, and it exists as such today. It has had a few alterations over the year. However, enough integrity remains for it to be considered a contributing structure in our local historic district. So the applicant, which is the city of Tarpon Springs, is seeking a certificate of appropriateness to construct a 16 by 50 foot composite deck at the rear on the west elevation of the contributing structure. So that would be behind the building. This is showing the Florida Master Site File photo from when it was first surveyed. This is just showing the east elevation, so that's the side that's facing Beekman. Just another picture of the east side showing you some of the context within the park. And this is the west elevation where they're proposing to put that composite deck. So a little more context, its location next to Spring Bayou. And that's showing a little clearer where by the door there, that's where they're proposing to be putting the patio. And just north elevation. And then this is showing the proposed project. So with respect to our standards for review, new construction consistency, the height and width of the proposed deck is similar to decks found throughout the historic district of buildings of similar size. With respect to the neighborhood and district context, it would be potentially visible from the public right-of-way on Beekman and potentially from South Spring Boulevard. Given the site's unique location within Craig Park, you'd see it whenever you're in the park in that area. And you could also potentially see it from Spring Bayou if you're out there kayaking or So it would have a minor alteration on the vista of the area, and the HPB should determine whether or not that change is significantly adverse. With respect to architectural features, no distinctive architectural features, no historic architectural features would be altered with this proposal. One of the benefits of this project is that it's completely reversible. It would not be altering the historic building in any significant way. And so generally, it conforms with the Secretary's guidelines because the addition is at the rear of the building and, again, would not be destroying any historic materials or making any alterations to the historic structure. The proposal would certainly conform with city code requirements and is generally consistent with the land development code. Well, it would be consistent with the land development code and is generally consistent with the historic preservation element of the comprehensive plan. And this is just showing you our design guidelines review manual about locating accessory structures, which a deck is considered an accessory structure, and it would be at the back of the building. Given its location, it's kind of hard to not, its location within the public realm. It's hard to find a location that's not visible from the public right-of-way, but it is one of the less innocuous parts of the subject property. With that, staff is recommending approval of application 2536, and I will enter my staff report and this presentation into the record and answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Carolyn. Any questions for Carolyn?
What are the railings, what is that made out of?
It's all proposed to be composite materials.
Caroline, could you bring up that picture of the new, oh, there it is, okay. Wow. Okay, and that'll be on the bayou, pretty. Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, do we have an applicant? We do.
Hey everyone, my name is Jamie Taylor, Recreation City Superintendent with the city. Appreciate you being out here and checking out the proposal here. Any questions?
No?
Looks pretty straightforward.
Right.
Easy enough. I'll be quiet then. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any public comments about this project? No? Okay. We'll close the public comments and bring it to the board to discuss.
If I may, I did neglect to tell you, we did get a couple of inquiries about the project, but the only formal response we received was a notice of no objection to the project.
Yeah, actually, I thought you did say that, but okay, that might have been for the last one. Any discussion?
Okay, Michelle, you're on a roll.
Okay, hang on, let me get back to where that page is. All right, so this is application 25.36, recommend approval with staff's recommendations. Certificate of appropriateness, expire in 3 years, I guess is what it would probably say. I can't find that page.
Okay, I second.
You're gonna second it. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, let's call for a vote.
Ms. Kaplan?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Hallett?
Yes.
Mr. Brzezinski?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you. All right, number 7, board and/or staff comments. Staff have any more comments about anything?
I do not.
No? You guys? All good?
Oh, good.
Okay, thank you, Carolyn. All right, I'm going to adjourn at 7:22.
Wow.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Well, you think so? Maybe. Well, it's because you do such a good job.